Welcome to the Life Hacks Show. Life Hacks gives you proof hacks and tips for the best version of yourself. And here's your crash test dummy for a better life, Marcus Meurer.
Okay guys, welcome to a new episode of the Life Hacks Show, and this time from the rooftop here in Canggu, Bali. And Pili and me are invited to Hacker Paradise. This is a real exciting project in the digital nomad world. And I'm here with one of the co-founders, with Easy. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for coming out and giving a talk to us the other day. Yeah,
it was great fun. So the night before yesterday, I gave a short talk about the digital nomad challenges and how it all went with the DNX movement. So maybe just tell me a bit more how you started this project, Hacker Paradise, which is quite famous and well known in the digital nomad world. How did it all get started? How did you get the idea? And when did it start?
It's actually my colleague Casey who started it, and it started about a year and a half ago, approaching 2 years now. And the first trip was in Costa Rica, and it was very casual. Casey was just looking to do some work and travel on his own, and he ended up in a hotel that had pretty low occupancy. So he thought, hey, I kind of want to bring some of my friends out here and join me and have a community of people. And then it kind of just started from there, very casually, and just bringing out friends and acquaintances and friends of friends. And then it became such a hit that it turned into a thing. And then after that, we started doing more official trips and charging for it. And it's grown a lot since then.
Yeah, I can tell. So I think these are the best business models or best projects you can start when it just starts out of a demand, or it grows very organically and people approach you and ask for, can I join? This is cool what you're doing, or I love the idea, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to see projects that like you said, just start from something you want to do on your own and it's fun, and other people kind of just organically join in, and then it grow into something that's a lot bigger, and the community grows a lot, and the types of things that we offer, the actual types of talks that we have, and the demos and the hack days and all kinds of things have all kind of evolved out of the first original batch, and it's exciting to see what different groups of people bring to the project and what different groups of people bring to Hacker Paradise.
Mm-hmm. So what is roughly about, how often do we change places, and can people just come by, drop in? How long do they have to stay? What is the concept all about?
Sure. So Hacker Paradise is essentially a traveling community of creative people, and we have a lot of software engineers and developers and designers, and occasional people from slightly different fields as well. We have a couple writers here. In the past, we've had an architect, a photographer, people essentially that have the ability to work and travel and are kind of either already in that lifestyle or just getting into it. And the idea is that we travel around, we take care of all of the living, of all of the accommodation, of creating this community of excited, innovative people. And we take care of all of their connectivity issues and their accommodations, so they don't have to worry about that, while creating an awesome community that everyone can get involved in and learn a lot from each other.
Okay. And you just mentioned the connectivity you take care about. So I heard you also deliver like local SIM cards and take care about the internet, so nobody has to worry who ever works online?
Yeah, it really depends on the location. In certain locations, when we were in Barcelona, or when we were European locations, or when we were in East Asia, for instance, it's usually not a problem. We work out of a co-working space, or we set up our own co-working space a lot of times, and the internet connectivity is not an issue. In locations like in Vietnam or in Bali, where the connectivity is usually a little bit more difficult, we have to have a lot of redundancy. So we buy everyone some SIM cards. Here in Bali, we have 4G SIM cards for everyone. And on top of that, we have our co-working space, which we thread in our own landlines and throw in our own routers and things like that, just to create a lot of efficiency and make the internet really reliable as much as we can.
Cool, great. Did you have to iterate the product a lot, or how did it start, and how does it look like now? Is it an ongoing process, or how do you tackle it?
It definitely is an ongoing process. It actually started, as I mentioned, about 1.5 to 2 years ago, and I only joined in about 9 months ago. So I kind of came in halfway through the process, and even since then, it's changed a lot. We've really changed the way that we run things. In certain trips, it really depends on the actual community and the types of people that are on our trip. Some groups are a lot more independent and they self-organize things. Other groups like to have a little bit more structure. So we've kind of started doing a combination of both of those things, where in the first couple weeks we often organize a lot of our own trips, and Hacker Paradise will top-down organize some activities and trips and things like that get to explore the country that we're in and the cities that we're in. And then after people kind of get into the swing of things, the community will start self-organizing a lot of things. So we do have a structured weekly kind of routine where on Mondays we'll have group breakfasts, and we'll kind of go over the different things that everyone's working on for the week. On Tuesdays, we'll have community talks. So different people in our community will give talks on a variety of different topics. Sometimes they're technical, sometimes they're more casual, or on life experiences and things like that. And that's what we had you come in as a guest speaker for. And sometimes we have some really exciting other types of guest speakers as well. And Japan was probably one of the most exciting ones. We had Yukihiro Matsumoto, who was the creator of the Ruby programming language. Wow. And he came in and gave a Q&A talk to our group privately. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. A lot of the time, it's cool to see the kind of pull we have as this type of organization, to see what types of people we attract and come in and want to hang out with our group.
Yeah, but it's not all about hackers and coders, as you mentioned before. No? You also have designers, translators, even architects. Yeah. Okay, and as more and more people talking about this location-independent lifestyle, going on the road, you see popping up articles all over the world, and yeah, you could think about it's hyped, it's overhyped, it's a bubble, it will burst. What do you think about this whole movement? Is it a sustainable thing, and do you see it change, or what do you think does your community think about what's happening at the moment?
It's hard to answer that question in a very definitive way, but I definitely think it's hard to ignore that remote work is becoming easier and easier, and a lot more companies are becoming a lot more open to it because they see that for some people the productivity increases can be a lot, and people's general happiness can often be a lot higher. But that's not to say that it solves all of your problems. That's not to say that remote working works for everyone. That's not to say that it's the best solution for everyone. It really depends on the person and how they actually manage their time and how they are able to do it, and the types of different productivity tools they use and the communities that they're in and how they use it for themselves. I think that remote working, or actually the term digital nomads, can be a very polarizing term. And for some people, they hate the term because they've been doing it for a long time, and there's like an influx of people that are just trying to figure something out and do it, and it's not really working too well for a lot of people. And for other people, it's working great, and they're starting companies and they're working remotely and enjoying the lifestyle. So yeah, it's hard to say if it's something sustainable or not, but it's definitely something that's growing, and we've seen it grow so much even in the last year or two. And as you mentioned, there have been so many articles written about it, and so many new startups that are going fully remote teams and things like that. So it's not something that solves all of your problems, but it is something that I think is worth trying and worth exploring. And with the right communities and with the right co-working spaces and the right tools, I think people can be really happy and live a really great lifestyle.
Yeah, very exciting times, as you mentioned. You just also mentioned like there are different kinds of people and persons for whom the digital nomad lifestyle would be more fitting than to others. And some are more productive on the road, some are less productive. What kind of persons do you see in your groups when you're traveling with the Hacker Paradise project?
At Hacker Paradise, we have some people who are working for remote teams already, or they work for a company that allows them to work remotely. And those people are generally quite effective because they've already been working remotely for some time. We have a number of people who are freelancers, and they're already often very comfortable with managing their own time. And if they're not, there's a lot of people in our community that are freelancers, and we have a freelancer workshop and things like that for people to help each other out and give tips. I think the challenge lies a lot in beginners, people who have never done it before and don't really have a clear idea of what they're looking for and how they want to do it. And, you'll see terms thrown around like drop shipping and kind of like easy fixes and exactly. So, affiliate marketing and all that kind of thing. And that might not be the best solution to start off. You'll hear a lot of podcasts talking about that, and some people are very successful with it, but it can be a bit of a pipe dream for a lot of people, and it's very hard to get those things started and actually give you a sustainable lifestyle if you're just starting out.
Yeah, it's lots of effort, and I would say all these people who are successful in dropshipping or Amazon FBA businesses, they have a great background and a big track record, and especially for affiliate marketing you need lots of traffic which you can convert into leads and sales at the end, or leads in this case in affiliate marketing. So I would also say it's not the best way to start a location independent business. What helped us a lot when going on the road together, Philly and me, we started as freelancers, like I think many people do, like just getting aware of what are your skills, what do you already can bring to other people, where can other people benefit from your experience. I would say this is one of the best ways to start, and then slowly shift your business into an own business. Just making the transition from being a freelancer to being an entrepreneur. I would say this. Do you have any other tips how to start out?
I think slow and steady, as you mentioned, is a good way to do it. Just trying things out, not being too afraid to try things. I mean, I'm telling people that it can be more difficult to try certain things, but if you're confident with things and if you have experience in a certain field, then you should try to figure it out and experiment and keep testing things, keep talking to people and seeing how they're doing it, if they're doing similar things to you, and if they're managing to live the same type of working lifestyle or have the same type of career path as you, but do it in a remote way. Talk to people and find out how people are doing it. And it's great to meet people at co-working spaces and different communities and figure out the best practices. And I think that starting small and starting with specific individual clients is a really good way to go, as you mentioned. And I think the freelancing route is a good way for a lot of people because it's work that you're doing, and it's a little bit more consistent than relying on web traffic and things like that at the beginning. Yeah. And once you start figuring that out, I think you can start rolling out into different methods of making money and different, working with different people and maybe eventually starting your own business and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would also totally agree that could be started at a later stage. So before that, the target has to be to set up something sustainable. And I think one of the key success factors is to keep your targets realistic in the very first beginning and not being overwhelmed and thinking, wow, everybody's making this amount of money. And there are still lots of people selling some scam shit stuff, and especially now in the digital nomad world again. We had this before, after the 4 work week came out 2007 from Tim Ferriss. There were lots of scam websites and landing pages on the internet with people zipping the cocktail at the beach, just sitting at the laptop. That's not realistic. I've never worked from the beach. It's doesn't make sense. So yeah, keep your targets realistic, would I say, and connect you with the right people.
I think it's really funny you mentioned that, especially, you know, working with a coconut on the beach kind of thing. Like that's a very, it's a very unrealistic and very often exaggerated form of remote work. That it's, you know, as you mentioned, people don't typically do that. If we're working remotely, people typically work out of cafes or workspaces or you know, local areas. And, you know, we all do go out and find a nice place by the beach occasionally to work, but it's not something that you do every day.
No.
And, you know, we actually have a parody of that where we do, where we do a bunch of pictures in like the most ridiculous places. So there's pictures of me, you know, with my laptop working on the Mekong River on a tiny like coconut boat. There's a picture of me at the top of a volcano, you know, like working with my laptop, just to kind of take that idea and step it up a few different, you know, a few levels higher to show how ridiculous it really is. And on the whole Tim Ferriss thing, I definitely think it's something that inspires a lot of people, perhaps a little too much. And it's important to, you know, it's a great book. I've read it as well, and it does provide a lot of great value and a lot of insight. But I think it's really important to take everything with a grain of salt and like realize that, you know, not everything that you'll read from there is just an easy, you know, as soon as I do this, it's going to work and I'm going to be able to work 4 hours a week. That's again, you know,
Tim Ferriss never did it.
Yeah, he himself doesn't even work 4 hours a week, right?
No.
So
He's one of the hardest working mans I know.
Exactly. So if you're reading that book or if you've been inspired by it, just, you know, talk to other people and see what real people do and how real people go about working remotely, and just take everything from there with a grain of salt, and take, you know, drop shipping and Amazon sales and, you know, anything like that. Take it with a grain of salt and make sure you really know what you're getting into, and talk to people who have actually experienced it, close friends and family, and, you know, people who are living that lifestyle, and see if they're actually doing it in the way that you think they are.
Yeah, actually, I think the book title came out of his Google AdWords testing. He was testing different titles, which was the most catchy one. And obviously everybody clicked on, oh yeah, just working 4 hours a week. That sounds tempting. I will go for it. So it's a great catchy marketing title, but nothing more, I think. But still, what you were saying, the book still inspires a lots of people. There are still lots of strategies that still work. It has to be a little bit adapted. Like Google AdWords is not state of the art anymore. If you want to be quick and test something at the market, you go for Facebook ads, because you can target them even more. It inspired lots of people. Yeah, but at the end, then you have to put a grain of salt to it, as you were mentioning, and keep it realistic. What about yourself, Izzy? Where are you coming from? What's your background? How did you step into this project, and what really attracted you?
So I used to run an international English program at the University of Toronto, and I did that for about 4 years. And I got to a point where I thought that job wasn't challenging me so much anymore. And I wanted something different. I wanted something new. And I was looking at leaving my job and applying for a new job within a couple months. But I decided that, you know, if I'm going to change jobs anyway, why not take a little bit of a vacation? So I went traveling for a few months in Southeast Asia because it's cheap, as everyone does. And when I got back from my trip, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. And a friend sent me this blog post about Hacker Paradise looking for a trip facilitator. And it was great because it was essentially all of the experience that I had, working with communities, conflict resolution, event planning, and throwing that all together in like a startup tech environment. And it kind of just arrived on my doorstep with a little bow. And it was just like saying, Izzy, look here, this is the perfect job for you. And so I applied for it. And then I came on last summer in July as a trial period. And that was in Barcelona, and it worked out great. And then my first official trip was in Japan in September. And we went there for 6 weeks in Tokyo and then 6 weeks in Taipei. And then right now we're on our Southeast Asia block of trips where we're doing Vietnam and Bali and then Thailand and then onwards to other places afterwards.
Wow, it sounds really like one of the most exciting jobs in the world and like really a dream job. Was there a special thing or hack you did in the application process to diverse yourself from the other applicants?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I actually do a lot of coaching for some of my friends who are applying for new jobs. And I use a number of different tools to kind of get myself through the application process up to the top. And typically, rather than going through and applying from the bottom, I go and find the company that I'm interested in and go through LinkedIn and find the person that would be responsible for overseeing my position. And then use a tool like CellHack or like... It's a tool that essentially allows you to take a LinkedIn profile and stick in a person's name and their company email address, even if it doesn't have like the name portion of it, and it guesses what their email address will be for that company. Sure. There's another one called emailhunter.co, and if you put in, at hackerparadise.org or at dnxglobal.com or something like that, it'll pull all the emails that have been listed online for that company. So if it says Marcus at dnxglobal.com or something like that, it'll show that that's a real email address.
And they also see patterns, like
and
first name, last name.
Yeah. So one of them, there's another one too. I forgot the name now, but it's a common one. If you just look up, find an email address online kind of thing on Google, you'll find a tool that guesses what an email address is for a person based on their company email and guessing a bunch of different patterns like a dot last name, first name dot last name, first name dash last name. And then it figures whichever one is associated with a LinkedIn account is the real one. And that's a great way to go through and find the person that you want to email. Then really workshop a good email to send out, reasons why they should hire you and what you've done in your experience to actually fit that position and how you can grow that position and benefit the company. And one of my biggest tips for people applying for new companies would be to use a Chrome extension called HubSpot Sidekick, which is essentially kind of like if you've ever used MailChimp or if you've ever used any kind of email newsletter thing, you'll see a lot of analytics and how many people have clicked and opened your email. So HubSpot Sidekick does that for personal one-on-one emails. And essentially, I think the way that it works is it adds a hidden pixel somewhere in the email. And if that pixel has been loaded, the software knows that email has been opened. And you can also see what links they've clicked on. So if you put, your portfolio in your email, you can see if the person's clicked on your email and how many times they've opened it. And sometimes you can kind of guess some insights. If they've opened it like 50 times or something, there's a good chance that they've forwarded it to a few people. Wow. And so you can kind of get a better idea of which people you've applied to and which companies you've applied to are more interested and which ones you should spend more effort following up with. And so that's my tip for applying for jobs.
Wow, really didn't know that you're also in this application hacking. Yeah. Just wanted to know, so what was your specifically for this job position at Hacker Paradise, what did you do specifically there?
So I sent the regular application form that they asked for, and on top of that, I emailed the founder of the company, Casey, and I was actually quite blunt with him, and I said, "Here's 12 reasons why you need to hire me," and they were basically talking about all the reasons that I would be great for this job, and talking about my conflict resolution experience at the University of Toronto, talking about how I've managed communities, how I've organized events for 300-400 people. And anything in between. So it was really just a great, a perfect job for me, because I've been working with lots of communities and traveling a lot, and have been very familiar with the tech scene in Toronto as well. So it's yeah.
Great, man. Yeah, I really love what you're doing. What are the next stations, locations where you're going next with Hacker Paradise, and where can people find you in the net?
Sure. So our website is hackerparadise.org, not Hackers Paradise, Hacker Paradise. And we're on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere as well, on Instagram. And our next trips are coming up in the summer. Well, actually, our next trip, which is full at the moment, is in Thailand, and that's going to be for a month in Chiang Mai. And then following that, in June, July, and August, we're going to be in Porto, Portugal, which is a bit of a different format. Typically, we stay in a country for 4 to 6 weeks, and this will be the first time we're experimenting with staying for 3 months in one location. So that'll be exciting, and we'll see how that goes. And it's always a process to see, what trips are more successful than other ones. So this is one of those experiments. And then in the future, we're planning some really exciting, fun stuff. We're actually planning potentially a different format of trip, and booking out a castle in France for a week and turning that into more of an event type thing. And we're also looking at doing a South America trip for 3 months, or an East Asia trip. So it'll be one of the two later in the fall. And if you go on our website and sign up for our itinerary right on the homepage, we'll keep you posted with all of our upcoming trips. And feel free at any time to message me or Casey, or give us a shout on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Cool. Thank you so much. So last question, what would be a typical day look like if you could name a typical day? So what did you do before this interview? Now we have like 11 in the morning. What did you do before, and what's up for the next this day?
Yeah, that's one thing that is kind of an under the hood, exciting thing that people don't often see about what I do here. And our lives at Hacker Paradise are actually quite busy. We wake up in the morning, and Casey and I typically go through a morning stand-up and work out what we need to do for the week, for the day. And we'll go through the announcements for the day and send them to our entire group's Slack channel. And then after that, we'll go, and some mornings we'll have interviews with upcoming clients or upcoming participants.
You do them via Skype, right?
Yeah, we do Skype interviews with everyone who, with all the applicants who apply that we think are a good fit for our program. And then after that, it kind of changes a lot depending on the location and the day. And so today, for instance, we have a hack day here at Hacker Paradise. So we had a morning breakfast, and we went through and talked about all the different projects that people are working on today for their hack day. And people teamed up for a variety of different projects. Some of them are building Chrome extensions. Other ones are building kind of like a Bitcoin exchange API type thing. And then there's a bunch of really cool other projects. So it's fun to see the types of potential businesses and the types of just fun, hacky projects that people come up with in our community. And then after that, depending on the day, on some days we have community talks, as we mentioned earlier, and then other days we have demo days. So today on Thursday, because we have our hack day, our demos turn into the hack day demos. Whereas usually the demos are typically what people have been working on for the week, and they'll get into small groups of 6 or 7 and each go on and demo to the rest of their small group what kind of progress they've made on the different projects that they have. And that's a great way of getting to know all the other people in the group as well, and getting a lot of insight into different types of businesses and different types of workflows that you've never done, and even different types of careers, because we have programmers and designers and different people in different fields. So it's fun to see all of those come together and work on fun projects together during a hack day. And other than that, we have kind of a very it's your own rhythm type of program where, so we have those organized events, and everything in between is sometimes we'll have guest speakers come in. Sometimes we'll have startup events that are in the community, in the city that we're in, and we'll just go to those and invite all of our participants. And then we organize all kinds of fun trips on the side on the weekends and things like that. So this past weekend, 10 of our 40 people got certified for their open water scuba diver license in Ahmed, which was really fun, actually. So it's really great. And a lot of it depends on the actual community that comes in and what their interests are. Sometimes that's, a yoga group. Other times that's a running group or surfing group. Other times that's, playing Settlers of Catan or board games or whatever it is, and anything in between.
Cool. Yeah, it's like really cool being part of your community for 2 or 3 days. We just checked in here in the same accommodation. And yeah, can just confirm it's a great community. You're doing great work. And thanks again for having me on your Hacker Paradise camp. And thanks again for your time for the interview on Lifehacks.
Cool. Thank you very much, Marcus. It was such a pleasure being on your show.
Okay. Peace and out. Yes, yo. This was another episode of the Life Hacks Show. If you love what you're listening to and can use some of the tools and hacks we are sharing on the Life Hacks Show, I would be more than happy if you can give me a review or rating on iTunes. Follow me on facebook.com/Meurer Marcus and just ping me and give me some feedback that would mean the world to me. So long, have fun, peace and out.